Hi all, we are going introduction of this ENOVIA PLM training, the fundamental training. So let me explain you about the Mindmajix. So okay, we have 9+ year of industry experience in this e-learning services. We have 10+ years of experienced trainers, 100+ reputed corporates around the globe. So again, we almost train 450K clients of number of professionals. We deliver almost 500+ technologies through this training portal. So next, so let me explain about myself. I'm the one who is going to conduct this training. So I have almost 7.5 year of experience, the industry experience, out of which almost 7 years on ENOVIA. In these 7 years, I worked on a lot of clients with different projects and different roles. I started teaching ENOVIA since last 1 year and found it interesting. So and other technologies I can teach is like, you can see here Core Java, JSP, RESTful APIs and all. So next, okay, so today's agenda about this training is, so we can introduce each other to just know some information about each other. Next is the understanding the course content. What are the all topics we are going to cover? Then understanding the flow of training. So first we'll cover theoretical topics, and then last we'll move on to some hands-on session. So next, the scope of demo project. As a part of this training, we are going to do one mini project, and that project will cover all the knowledge, the components we covered in this training. The next is any additional topic which students are looking for. So yeah, we are happy to add any specific topic regarding ENOVIA for which students are looking for. So yes, we can add those topics also. Okay, so next. Okay, so what we are going to cover under this course. So we are going to cover some functional training. So just to understand the UI better. So we have splitted this course into two parts. I know it's a pure technical training, but we should know some basic things about the software which we are going to learn. So we are going to cover the first is a functional thing. So that inside functional we are going to cover the introduction to ENOVIA V6. So what is the software is? Again, we'll go through some UI, how to log in and log out, what are the user profiles and all. Next, we'll cover the installation and setup. Again, the how to install that software, what are the basic requirements are. So we'll cover that here. And the setup contains like a system for a first time. So like when we first time use the system, we have to set up some users, access and roles. So that setup will cover under this introduction and setup functionality. And next, the common features. So again, ENOVIA provides some common functionalities that we'll cover in this session. Okay, then next, moving towards the technical training. Okay, the first part is like business modeler. So just as if you know the ENOVIA previously, you might know about the business modeler. There are like thin client and thick client. So inside a thick client, this business modeler, matrix and MQL comes under those areas. So we'll cover the business modeler, which is again, we can say thick UI customization tool used to create, view and modify the admin objects. So next we'll cover the matrix, which is again used to create, view, modify the business object. So MQL is something like SQL for Oracle or MySQL. So it's a query language tool for the matrix database. So next topics are like AF setting and configuration. So there are few settings for each component. Those settings we'll cover in this. So we can say it's customization settings. The next ADK, abstract development kit. Okay, so these are some APIs provided by the application. So okay, for each application we have some specific APIs. So while developing or customizing, we need some APIs, the predefined APIs. So those API will cover here. So next, triggers. So you can see check, action, override. So these are type of triggers. The event management is handled with triggers in ENOVIA. So on some specific application, we can call some triggers. We can send some notifications. We can do some other actions. So all those can be handled with triggers. So yeah, we'll go in details with triggers like check trigger, action trigger, and override trigger. So what are those? So that will be covered in details. The next is UI level 3 components. So okay, inside that we'll cover all the UI components. So if you see any application in the web, we can see there are menus, commands, again the tables and forms. So different components. So the ENOVIA as a platform. So you might heard the word like ENOVIA framework. So it has a framework, which framework provides all the OOTB components. So those components are table, menus, forms, all are the components. So what we have to do is, with this training, we'll cover how to create those components, what are the setting, what are the required parameters to call these components. So we'll cover that also. The next, JPO, Java Programming Object. So these are nothing but again Java program, but with a different feature. So ENOVIA has Java program like JPOs. So how they are different from normal Java program? So that we are going to see. Again, we'll see the writing the new Java program JPO from a scratch and how to use it. So we can use JPO for all the purpose in this framework. So what are all those purposes and how to use it? Yeah, so we'll cover complete details on JPOs. The next is Spinner. Okay, Spinner is a tool, we can say, to install the application, kind of sub applications. Now you have the application ready and you want to make some changes in that application. So you have designed some feature and then you want to install those changes. So it can be done with a Spinner. So Spinner is a tool to extract the data schema and install the schema. So yeah, again, this is a tool which comes with an ENOVIA. So DS provide this tool to do the schema changes. So we'll cover that tool also. And this is really required as a developer. You're going to be developer and you know the way how to install and extract the schema from the database. So we'll cover the Spinner also. So next is configuring ENOVIA in Eclipse in debugging mode. So now, so this is the, I mean, really required part. So you have the ENOVIA with you and how to do the development. Then it's not possible always to open the in edit notepad plus plus or somewhere you are modifying changes and you are deploying. So I mean, showcase in this demo how to configure the ENOVIA in Eclipse in debugging mode. Again, that's in debugging mode. So this is something, I mean, most of the people don't know in the industry. With this, you have all the things together inside your one Eclipse. So you have your Tomcat, you have your deployment, you can access your all the applications together. So that can be done with this configuration. So yes, we are going to cover this configuration in details and I will show you how to do that. So next, finding the matrix components from the web UI. So this is something which needs in a support projects, or if you're working on some bug fixing or somewhere else. So what you have to do is you have to find the component, the backend component from the UI. So you have the UI and now you want to find that component in the backend. So how to find those components? So I will, with this training topic, we'll cover all those tricks. I mean, how to find the component, the right component where you want to have the change or modify. Okay, so hands-on training. As part of this training, we are going to cover the one mini project. Inside that mini project, we'll cover all the components which we are going to cover in this training. So once you've gone to this hands-on training, you are able to do any kind of customization or any kind of development inside the ENOVIA. You will have all the basic knowledge with this mini project. So again, so we learn everything and then how to deploy these components inside the software. So yeah, we'll inside this training again, we'll show you how the application server look like. So this is application and where to deploy that application. So deployment part is also covered. There are two type of deployment actually, the server side deployment and the client side deployment. So we'll cover both those deployment inside this training. So yeah, this is the overall content we are going to cover. So yeah, and this all the topics cover almost all the customization and development scenarios. Next is okay, what this course includes. So overall, I explained you the content, but what overall it contains is like the software introduction. So if you see this, the first point, right, the software introduction. So ENOVIA is usually called it as a 3D experience platform. It's a very huge software with a lot of feature. So as a part of this training, we're going to touch almost the parts which are important. We'll show you the UI in this software introduction. We'll show you the UI. The next thing is again we'll go through an architecture overview. We'll show you how the components are used to develop this software. The next is OTP implementation details. It includes the thick UI like business, matrix, and MQL. So we can cover all these components. Okay, so customization details. It includes the setting up environment and other details. So next is complete training on developing a new central from a sketch. As we are going to cover all the components, this will be covered somehow. I mean, all the components will be covered in the training. Next, okay, so where this training is available in the market. So as this slide shows, like no source training available for where like open source training is not there. So it should be from some training institute only. For most of the softwares, we got some tutorials online here and there, but you will not find it for ENOVIA anywhere. So yes, you have to go for any of the training institute, and I feel you are at the right place. So as Mindmajix has a lot of experience training on ENOVIA, so I feel you are at the right place. So next, so certifications about the ENOVIA. So if you see for ENOVIA as it's a DS product, so DS only provides a training, online training for this. So DS has their learning central. You can go there and apply for the certification. So there are certifications categorized with levels. Like if you see, the first is a wild belt training. So it's a basic level 1 training. The next is again ENOVIA customization training. It's again intermediate training. So black belt is something which is advanced training, which includes all the customization and development things. If you compare our training with this certifications, so you can see we cover almost white belt is almost we covered. Again customization training we cover almost three of the, I mean, with this our training you pass all this training. Just for the last advanced training you have to practice. So once we done with the training, you have to practice yourself for some days and then you can go apply for this training and you will easily go through it. So these are the technical trainings, and the next there are some functional training. So inside the functional training, they're like central specific. There is ENOVIA project management training. So to be a project manager, you have to go through the ENOVIA functional training. So this is something for a user training, you can say the user training. So similarly, it's ENOVIA administrator training also. Next, okay, so if you want to do some DS certification, you can do the DS tool. But even after this course, the Mindmajix will provide you the certification. So ENOVIA certificate, and which is really useful while searching for a new job or while in an existing company, while switching from some support kind of project to development project. So this certificate will help you. So next, okay, so ENOVIA architecture. So you are interested to learn ENOVIA. That means the basic thing is to learn the architecture. So, and the architecture is nothing but the how it is developed. So let's start with this. So ENOVIA architecture is designed basically on J2EE MUC design pattern. So if you see, there are a lot of design patterns in Java. So this application is designed as MUC design pattern, the model view controller design pattern. So as like all applications, we have a base layer. So if you see, the base layer is a database layer, okay, where we install the software. And for ENOVIA, supported database are like Oracle, MySQL, and DB2. So okay, so next layer is a matrix layer. If you see this layer, it's a matrix layer. We usually call it as kernel layer, which is designed in C++ and interacts with the next layer, the BPS and BPS. So you see this common component, common programming framework. So this is nothing but a BPS. So it interacts with the matrix database. So as I said, the matrix is designed in C++, which we call as kernel, interact with the BPS. So it has a Java component. So BPS is designed purely in Java, and Java code is interact with C++ code. Next, the BPS is nothing but common programming framework, which is fully predefined APIs, UI components to work with matrix database. So what the all UI components like form, tables, menus, the whatever ENOVIA provides, those all are provided by BPS. So that is nothing but common programming framework. So all the components provided by BPS. So next, so these are all the different applications on top of BPS. So if you ENOVIA, if know the before ENOVIA before this training, you will understand this what is mean by central. So central is nothing but a sub application inside the ENOVIA. So if you see here, it's engineering central, then program central, design central, XCAD central. So okay, so for example, for engineering operations, so client took the engineering central, so its licensing is available. For example, if you want to purchase ENOVIA, go for ENOVIA, and you want only the engineering central, you can buy that only. So that is, I mean, packaging is also how it is packaged. So BPS, so you have to take this BPS till BPS you have to take, then you can take central wise. So you can take only engineering central, you can take only program central. So similarly for other central. So you see this blue area. So this blue area is ENOVIA centrals. This part of ENOVIA, and the other, this the yellow part you see here is some other component. So yes, ENOVIA is, as I said already, ENOVIA is a customizable software. So we can integrate other softwares, other components on top of ENOVIA. So if you see a TVC core here, so that is a totally different component from a different company. So if you might know the Technia value component, that the Technia is a company, and that company has developed their own components, and we can call it a TVC core. So they have their own UI actually, like structure browsers and form. So again, if you see XBOM manager, MCAD optimizer, EC manager, so these are all the integration with the ENOVIA. So yes, we can integrate ENOVIA with other application also. So we can do integration with a lot of ERPs and all. So that stuff it is. So it's a base of complete. This is a base. If you see, these are the admin tools. These admin tools are nothing but thick UIs used heavily by admin and developers for customization. So first, again, as I explained, the business, it contains all the schema definitions. We can create, view, modify the admin objects from business. So what is the schema? I mean, all the schema management is done with business. So next, if you see, it's a matrix. Okay, the matrix, it's kind of UI navigator, the backend UI navigator. I mean, the question in your mind will be like, why we need this admin tools? We have the UI. By UI, we can do all the operation, right? Before 2006, I guess, the ENOVIA was different, completely different. So it's a PDM, the file. It's PDM, not completely eMatrix. So DS acquired the eMatrix company and combined both the products, and they launched the web UI. So before to that, there was no web UI. It was just admin tools. So I mean, thick UI. So whichever machine you want to use the ENOVIA, you have to install on that machine. But after acquiring the eMatrix, ENOVIA TS combined both the products and launched as a eMatrix. So now you have both. I mean, you have the admin UI also, and you have the web UI also. So from both the UI, you can access the same data. So whatever you are going to access from this remote clients like browsers, you can access those using this admin tool. So what is that tool compatible is? So you can, by using matrix, you can see all the business object. And if you want to manage the schema, you can manage that schema using business and MQL. So again, this is something extra with the ENOVIA for customization and all. So you can customize that thing. Okay, so next thing is file server. So these are the file server you can see here, right? The file server is used to store checked-in files in ENOVIA objects. Okay, so while going through the process, so ENOVIA generate a lot of files. For example, CAD drawings, designs. So if you see in PLM industry, there's a lot of approvals, CAD designs and drawing. So if you save all those files inside the database, it will become a heavy. It might get slow. So because of that purpose, we don't save everything in a database. We have concept of file server. So we store files on physical locations, kind of directory. So while going through this training, you will get to know how this path is given for the storage. So yes, we store file on file servers. Again, you see the ERP database and all it. So that's the integration part. So we can integrate ENOVIA applications with ERP. So this is, I mean, overall framework. You can say the architecture of ENOVIA, and we are going to cover almost each and every part of this. We can say architecture. So next, okay, so mini project. So what we're going to call as demo project, what it will cover. So it will cover everything like you are developing a new central from a scratch. So what requires for a central is you need to create the menus. Again, you have to create the command for those menus. So we'll create the new tables with this session. Again, for a table, how to create the table, then how to add a columns, what different kind of columns are there, what are the different settings required for the column, that will cover everything inside this training. The next, creating properties form, again create forms, will cover these also. Again, how to create the three categories, three menus and categories will also cover. Again, schema components. So what we are going to look, these are the UI components. If you see, these are the UI components like table, menus, commands and all. But to render these UI components, we need some schema also. That is, we can call it as type, policies, attributes. So type is nothing but again the type of object. For example, we can say the engineering part. So part is a type in the systems. That is a type. And what is policies? Policy defines the behavior of the type. I mean, the how type is governed, the what are the states in that type. So all is defined by policy. So each type has different attributes. So it's complete schema. I mean, we'll go through each and every detail of this schema. Next is creating triggers. So yes, as a part of this training, we are going to cover the trigger also. What are different type of triggers? So as I already mentioned, there are different type of triggers like check triggers, action triggers, and the override triggers. So we'll cover all the type of triggers, how to use the triggers, where to apply the triggers, on which components we can apply the triggers. So all that component will be covered. The writing the new JPO. So here, as I already mentioned, we'll see how to write the new JPO. So JPO is not again a normal Java program. It's something different. So normal Java program, we compile, we build a jar file, and we run it. But for a JPO, we have to insert into the matrix database. So it's kind of different operations. We are inserting and then compiling. So yeah, we'll see that also. Next, so the lab setup. Okay, as you know, the ENOVIA is a licensed product. So with this training, we are not able to set up lab, but yes, I mean, you will have the existing ready environment and we can do the hands on that environment only. But if you are going to install new software in your new organization or company, so these are the prerequisite, I mean, the system requirement. So the operating should be Windows Server 2012, and that is 64-bit. Database, as I said already, SQL, MySQL, DB2, whatever is fine. We need Apache server also, HTTPS for static files, and that is Apache server. You can use anything latest version. So JDK, again, we need at least update 8, which is greater than 51. So we are going to refer the 15x version for this training, and 15x need at least JDK version 8. So same JRE as like the JDK. Okay, and one more thing is C++ runtime. So your machine should have the Visual Studio installed. So most of the machines we have Visual Studio with the OTP, like with operating system only. If you don't have, get it installed with your IT. So browser, okay, so ENOVIA need at least Internet Explorer basic. So, and it works on other browsers too. So these are the system requirement. But for the training, we'll have a ready environment and we'll explain you how that environment is set up with some documents. So next, So, okay, so what other resources, or you can say the knowledge you need to go through the ENOVIA? So you should be, at least you should have some basic knowledge about this core Java fundamentals. So if you see here, okay, some fundamentals are like collections. You should know some basic knowledge of exception handling in the Java. So how the try catch works. So next is string operations, how the strings are managed in Java. And again, you have to be good at writing the business logic. So if you are good with these skills, there is nothing much required from the Java. You are good to go for a ENOVIA. The next, okay, so ENOVIA has UI part also. Design that UI. We already have the components, the common components. Yes, but to call those components, we need little bit JSP code also to redirect the web pages. So yes, again, web page is designed using JSP and HTML, nothing but HTML code in the web page. So to redirect those components, so we need some small kind of code from JSP also. We have to return some JSP also. So from JSP, you can just go through some scripting elements. So if you have knowledge of scripting elements, we are good, and some implicit object. So we use session, request, and response object from JSP. So, okay, next we need a little bit JavaScript also for some basic validations. So we need some validation also while developing some UI, and basically the alerts. You can say the error alerts, or you can say the notifications. So that's it. So mostly these only required to go for ENOVIA. Okay, so if you are preparing for an interviews, so after this course, you are able to answer almost all the questions, and you will get the ideas how the questions will be asked. So because throughout this training, while going through the topics, I will give you an idea like what kind of questions will be asked on this topic. And as we are covering all the topics, you will get the idea of all the topics. So yeah, I will say you will be ready for all the interview questions after this training. Next, okay, again, regarding this training and demo sessions, regarding the course timing and all, you can contact the Mindmajix, and you can drop a mail, or you can just call on these numbers. So they will give you the details about the, regarding the subject, course timing and all. That's it. Thank you.